I have a Cub Cadet LTX lawn tractor that won't start. No clicking, no lights on dash. Battery and solenoid is new. Starter cranks is jumped with jumper cables from the battery.
Do you have fuel in the tank? If so, is the shut-off valve open and the fuel clean?
Yes. But what about no lights on dash when ignition is turned on?
Do you plan on doing the work yourself?
Well, my local repair shop is backed up several weeks and my grass is high, so.
Anything else we should know to help you best?
I checked main 20 amp fuse that is located near battery. It wasn't blown, but I replaced anyway. No change.
Hi, my name is Welcome to Just Answer. It could be a safety switch. Have you tried licking the parking uptake and seeing if it will turn over? It could be a bad ignition switch as well. Do you have a digital multimeter to test the ignition switch?
Hi, yes. I have locked the parking brake, but that has not affected the result. I've made sure the blade lever was up, sat in the seat, all without any effect. The lack of any dash lights is something that I have not seen before in any previous no-start problems I've had. I do have a multimeter. However, I am traveling right now and cannot test anything until Friday. Can a bad ignition cause no dash lights? Would a bad ignition also explain why the engine wouldn't kick over while jumping the starter with the key in position? At this point, I'm willing to order an ignition switch if I can try it when I return from my trip, knowing that it may not definitely be the source of the problem. I'd rather do that than wait until Friday, test it with a multimeter and find out it is the issue, but now have to wait more days for the part to come in. Thoughts? Thanks, Gary.
Gary, if the ignition is bad, it wouldn't transfer power from the battery to the tractor lights, starter, etc.
Thanks for that answer, John. I ordered an ignition switch for the tractor and it comes in Monday. I'll let you know if that corrected the problem after I install it. If it does not, I likely will ask you for direction on where to test for power with my multimeter.
Okay, sounds good. If not, we will need to test incoming voltage to the ignition, etc. I look forward to hearing from you. Please let me know either way.
John, unfortunately, the new ignition switch had no effect. Still no clicking, no dash lights. Engine still cranks when I jump directly to starter, but engine won't start. I inspected the wiring all the way from the battery in the rear, to the solenoid, up to the engine compartment where it splits off up to the dash and to the starter. It still has the UN damaged plastic casing around it except where it needs to make connections at the solenoid and fuse. I was concerned that it might have rodent damage, but saw nothing. Is it possible the solenoid is a problem? I did replace it a few times in the past, but usually the symptoms were clicking with no start and still had dash lights. What do you suggest now? Thanks, Gary. Also, in case it's of relevance in narrowing down, when bridging the solenoid contacts with a screwdriver, the starter cranks just as it does when I jump the starter directly from the battery with jumper cables.
On your Cub Cadet, what is the model number under the seat?
It says 13AX91 as 010. And below that LTX 1042.
Okay, give me a few. I'm going to pull a wiring diagram.
I disconnected the new ignition switch so I could access the harness for multimeter testing, but I'm not sure what contacts I should insert the probes into or what the DC readings should be. I have attached a photo I just took of the ignition switch harnesses. Here's a photo of the ignition switch that shows the letter codes next to each terminal blade.
Parts/Cub Cadet /Mowers Lawn Garden Tractor /LTX 104213X91 is 01013WX91 is 010 Cub Cadet Lawn Tractor 2010 /Electrical Schematic / Here is the electrical schematic. You have the brake switch, and a few other ones.
John, that link to the schematic was incomplete so I could not access it. However, I did take a closer look at the safety switches. All look okay except for the seat switch. I had to reach into the seat frame to disconnect the wire harness. When I removed it, I could see a wire was broken off right as it goes into the plastic plug. There's not enough extending to resplit it. Is there a way I can wire around this to disable it until I can get a new one? I have attached a photo. Also, can this really be accountable for no dash lights too?
Yes, because it is killing it from getting power. I'm not sure if there's a way to push those wires out, etc. Some harnesses have a pin type thing, etc.
If that's true, how can it run when you are out of the seat as long as the parking brake is on? I have the parking brake on now, but still no dash lights and no start. So I still need to troubleshoot this to determine if the broken wire on the seat safety switch is indeed the only issue. I'm not convinced this is the reason there are no dash lights. How can I bypass that switch to test this? It has 3 wires coming up to the switch. 2 yellow and 1 green. My grass is getting so high and I really need this running. Please help me.
That broken wire will stop it from being a complete circuit. It's not going to get power like that. If you remove the engine cover and remove the coil off the ground and then jump the solenoid or starter, it should fire up and run bit to shut it off. You will have to choke it out, etc.
I'm not looking to disable my seat switch permanently, but can I twist a combination of those 3 wires, see attached, to complete the circuit, just to see if it gets power? I tried every combination of the 3 yesterday and still no power, which is another thing that makes me think something else is in play too. I'm wondering if perhaps it could be the brake safety switch. I can reach under the tractor and freely press the plunger up and down. I can also press the parking brake lock lever on the dash and observe the linkage press the plunger in. But one thing that causes me wonder is that early last week, I had a very hard time unlocking the parking brake. I don't see external damage to the switch but wonder if that stuck brake did something. I have pulled the wiring harness off of the switch to expose the 2 blades. See attached photo. Is there a way to test that switch with my meter? Also, do you know how that switch is released from the frame? Is this wire shown in this last photo the coil wire you were referring to? Also, just an FYI, I'm using JustAnswer not because I'm trying to avoid a repair shop. I'm trying to fix it this way because I'm on a 3-week wait list for repair at my local power equipment shop. I don't have any other mower and I can't wait that long to mow. That's why I'm praying you can help me.
That's it, the one you removed.
Thanks. I tried it and got it to kick over after I sprayed some carb spray in the carb. But it wouldn't stay running. I think my fuel filter is plugged. I ordered a new fuel filter and a brake safety switch. I still would like some guidance on that seat switch wiring.
How long has it sat since it last ran?
November.
The problem is most likely bad gas in the carburetor if it's starting up and shutting right off.
You're probably right. I did put stable in it at end of season though. If I spray carb cleaner, it seems to just burn off that and stall. So what do you suggest? Is draining and refilling the gas tank enough?
No, the carburetor bowl will have to be drained and cleaned at the least, but it could be the carburetor needs to be removed and cleaned as well.
That likely is beyond my ability. I guess I'm going to have to wait until the local repair shop can get to me. I really didn't get anywhere with this ultimately. I still have the undiagnosed electrical issue, plus a fuel issue. I did at least learn about how the coil plug bypasses the electrical system, including all the safety interlocks.
I can't advise you to cut wires on your seat switch because I just fixed the switch, not bypass it, so I'm not sure what wires to cut. I'd replace the harness. That broken wire is definitely part of, if not all of, the wiring issue. Depending on your engine, you may be able to remove the antifire solenoid in the bottom of the carburetor bowl and let the bad fuel drain out.
I'd fix the seat switch right now if it was actually the switch that was broken, but I have not seen that plastic wire plug listed for sale anywhere, and if they did sell it, it would have to come with the wires hanging out of it so I could splice existing wires into it. As it is right now, there is nothing to splice to into the existing plug, because the broken wire is broken right at the plastic. Not only that, I'm not convinced that that is the sole electrical problem. If it were, and with the parking brake locked on and the ignition switch turned on, you would think that after trying every combination of wiring connecting of those seat switch wires, that with at least one combo, the dash lights would come on. But they never do, whether I try every combination, or even leave them all disconnected. I guess tonight after work, I'll try to see if I can access the carburetor bowl to see if I can drain it. I did drain all of the old gas out of the gas tank and put a little bit of fresh gas in, but as you said, that wasn't enough. Well, I took off the air filter housing to expose the rest of the carb, but I couldn't see a way to remove the anti-fire solenoid. It looks like it's attached with some kind of zip tie, see attached. I didn't see any drain screws on the bowl either. Any alternative tricks? I thought perhaps if I disconnected all the linkage I could pull the carb off completely and maybe tip it upside down to drain it, but there was a wire that looks like was going into the top of that solenoid that I could see a way to disconnect it.
That is the solenoid that has to be removed to get to the bowl.
Yeah, I know. I was saying I could not tell how it is attached. There looked like there's a small white nylon zip tie right where the solenoid meets the bowl.
There should be a bolt attached, you may need a flat wrench for. It will be under the zip tie.
Okay, I was able to unscrew the anti-fire solenoid and drain all the gas from the bowl. I waited until it stopped dripping and then I unpinched the fuel line before tightening, and fresh fuel came out of the bowl. After buttoning it up, I tried cranking again, but still no start. That solenoid is supposed to shut off fuel supply after you turn off the key, isn't it? Could me not using the ignition to start it keep it from opening? Or could the solenoid itself just be stuck closed? I'm still waiting for a repair shop callback. That last question I wrote is true. The anti-fire solenoid was stuck in the closed position because there was no power going to it to allow the magnet to pull the pin down. I could have jumped the starter all day and it would never start because it was getting no gas. It was getting no gas because there was no power from the battery getting to any of the tractor's components. The reason it was getting no power was because one of the two connections inside the fuse holder back by the battery was broken off inside the fuse holder. The fuse holder was taped tightly to the main wire cable with electrical tape, and the broken wire was inside, so it was not apparent. After I untaped the fuse holder, I was able to pull on the wires going into it, and one came out. I cut off the fuse holder, ordering replacement, and spliced the wires, connected the battery, and turned the key to on position, and dash lights came on. Connected wire back to engine coil, and it started right up and runs perfectly. I thought it was behaving like a blown fuse with no power anywhere, even though the fuse was good, so I thought I'd start looking closer in that area.
Well, if you got it running, that's great. Being you replaced the fuse, it really made me think that part was taken care of.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.